Lilly has released 2 new ads for its weight loss drug, both of which highlight obesity as a medical condition. One points to vanity use in Hollywood ahead of the Oscars this weekend and knocks that practice. Joining us right now with more on the weight loss landscape is Dr. Angela Fitch, well-known chief medical officer and president of the Obesity Medicine Association. And Dr. Fitch, this is a really interesting ad because the knock on some of these drugs is that they are going to be too widely prescribed, that people will be using them to lose 5 or 10 pounds to fit into something. And this ad takes direct target at that, which is interesting coming from one of the companies that makes some of these drugs.
Yes, Becky, thank you so much for having me. It's a very important topic that, obesity as a chronic disease has not gotten the attention it deserves. It's our biggest epidemic in our country, in the world actually right now. And it's just nice to see this sort of public service announcement to recognize the criticality of treating obesity today as a chronic disease.
So the idea in the public that there is going to be abuse of some of these drugs, and by the way, it's not just an idea. There have been reports we've had done here at CNBC and other locations, too, that really point out how you can call up a doctor. Melissa Lee just did an entire documentary on this. You can call up a doctor who gets on the phone with you for 9 minutes. You don't fit any of the chronically obese characterizations, and you can have one of these drugs prescribed to you as well. So it's not just in our minds. There is really a problem of abuse of this. What happens to those drug companies if there is abuse? Are they going after this because they worry about the side effects or the potential blowback of just that?
Well, I think mostly they're worried about the fact that, again, that there has been a shortage of the medication as well. And we know that there are over 100 million people in the United States that qualify for treatment of the disease of obesity. So we want to get it in the hands of the right people at the right time with the right wraparound care services that are going to provide the best long-term outcome. And so, again, this is a real issue in our country because obesity treatment is not a standard benefit on your insurance plan. And right now we have a treatment that 60% of the time can help people with obesity to put their disease in remission, yet we're not able to get it in their hands for various reasons. And I think it's just really highlighting the fact that this is something that we need to pay attention to in the United States, and we need more action taken.
What about the cost of these drugs? We had a guest earlier this week, a former member of the Biden administration, who suggested that the government should be allowed to negotiate drug prices for this class of drugs immediately because they're so expensive, because there's such an urgent need.
I wholeheartedly agree. I was just on Capitol Hill on Monday. Monday was World Obesity Day, and this week is National Obesity Care Week. So thank you for having me on to highlight that. And, this really is something that we have to take an urgent approach to. I mean, much like we did with the COVID pandemic, where we were able to make things happen technologically, I think that we need to come together, all of us, payers, employers, government, and pharmaceutical makers, and try to figure out this critical issue that we have before us.
But the innovation that brought these drugs could be crimped pretty drastically if the solution is to say, okay, you have to give us these drugs and you have to give them to us at a price that we are willing to pay. Take it or leave it. Here it is.
Yeah, I think that this is other countries negotiate their price. We do have a good Medicaid pricing negotiation that happens in our country. So we have over 15 states now in the United States that offer these treatments to their patients that are on Medicaid. So, there are ways of working it for sure. And we have treatments for obesity that are much lower cost as well. So it's important to include the whole treatment spectrum because not everybody, as you mentioned, those people that don't have as much weight to lose may not need this powerful of a medication.
Well, Doctor, why would there be any reason not to use price controls on pharmaceuticals? And just, instead of hiding what you're actually going to do, just go ahead and say, look, it cost you $3 to make that pill. We're going to let you charge $3.50 for it. Why not do it that way? You don't think that's going to hurt innovation? And do you think the innovation we're seeing in the rest of the world that has price controls, do you think that's comparable to what the innovation we see in the United States, where we don't have price controls?
Yeah, I do think that we have to take innovation into account for sure. As a chemical engineer by undergraduate training. I'm passionate about innovation, especially in this space. And I do think we have to balance that. We also have to balance that with other areas of our United States healthcare that are also, in the middle, taking out a lot of our, adding a lot of cost at a middle layer as well. So there's a multitude of things that come together to attack this issue that we're talking about right now.